Hola, bienvenidos a otro episodio de Cafecito con Junta. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Cafecito con Junta. Today, we're here with Miss Ivonne from Lujo Bar. She's going to talk to us about her business, how she came to own it, and what she does and dedicates herself to. Hi, Ivonne. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to speak to you today and learn about your business. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about what you do and how you came about?
Sure. I own Lujo Bar, which is located in New Haven, Connecticut. We handcraft plant-based bath and body products. I started in 2018, really trying to figure out a way to collectively use all of the skills, both professionally and personally, that I've sort of accrued over the last 10 years, 15 years. And so that's how Lujo Bar came to be.
What was the process for you to decide, you know what, this is going to be it for me. This is going to be my full time.
So sometimes we stumble into our purpose. In 2018, I was actually the program director for a youth development program that was offering employment training and educational services. That grant cycle came to an end, and it still felt to me like there was a lot of work left to be done, coinciding with some personal issues that I was confronting. I was called to sort of figure out a way to pivot and use my skills in a different way, and that's sort of what landed me on this journey to building Lujo Bar. I really wanted to create a company that, in addition to providing the community with good products for their skin that would nurture them, it could also create some revenue that we then could infuse back into the community and do some good. So our mission is to shower the world with love. It can sound a little corny sometimes.
I love it.
But it really is what we're trying to do, especially having lived through 2020, where there's such a platform for hate and discord. I think that love could use a bigger platform.
Ivonne, I was looking through your website, and I've noticed you have a lot of grandma tea recipes like for your bath. Can you take us through the process of making one of the products?
Sure. So I'll do the soap. Right now we have the mango butter collection release, and that soap is made up of olive, virgin coconut oil, sustainably sourced palm, mango butter, and castor oil. So it's going to give you a really luscious bubble while also cleansing really well. So I love making the art of making soap because it's very much chemistry in action, I should say. So you begin with sodium hydroxide, which is a little scary for people, but by the time the soap bar is done, that actually has disappeared in the product. It's created the saponification process. And so sodium hydroxide, we do a little bit of water, we mix those, we cool it down. Then we have all of our butters and oils melted, and we emulsify the water phase in the oils. This triggers that saponification process I was talking about, which basically accelerates the thickness or the viscosity of the batter. You get to add mineral colorants, which are cosmetic micas. These are the same things that they make your eyeshadow and lipstick with. And then, the fun part of it, or the creative part, is that you get to pick your design. And so sometimes it'll be, multicolored, drop swirl in a bowl, and then you drop it in the mold. And so what I love about soap making is that every loaf is a surprise. You can intend to make one design, and just by the way that you poured it, it could come out a totally different way. And so many great employment skills are taught in the art of making soap. You have to have patience, you have to follow process, you got to have some math skills in the mix. And so as an employment tool, it's awesome in teaching those skills. But as a consumer and as a user of the product, your skin is your largest organ and drinks about 70% of what you put on it. And so that alone is a reason to not want synthetics in your products. And that's why we make decisions to use products that are plant-based, that are synthetic free, and that are overall good for you.
How long does it take to make one bar?
Okay, so the actual making of the bar is about 45 minutes. It sits in a loaf for about 24 hours until it's fully saponified. And then we cut it and we put it on the racks for 6 to 8 weeks. And we do this because a cured bar of soap is much harder and milder on the skin than an uncured bar. I have friends in the South who will tell you that like their moms and grandmoms used to make lye soap and it was no good. Like it was rough on the skin. But this is not that. And I always like to tell people it's like wine. The older it is, the better.
I never knew that.
But yeah, so handcrafted soap is awesome in that sense that there's something called Castile soap, which actually cures for a year. And it's 100% olive oil. And it's the gentlest soap you can make. So yeah, there's a lot of cool like little tidbits about handcrafting and soap making that really make it a charming craft.
That's amazing. I never knew that, and I'm into beauty products of all sorts,
Nice.
especially since the pandemic. I've tried a few like face mask and hair growth stuff,
Wow.
and it's gotten a little weird at times and a little smelly. If you'd like to talk about the pandemic and how it affected your business, or if you had to make new products to adjust to your clients' demand.
Sure. So at the end of 2019, we were in a really hyped space of like, yes, this market testing is going well. We're going to open a spot in 2020. And then, by mid-March, everyone was pivoting. Or everything was shut down and people were figuring out a pivot. But it made most sense for us to focus our efforts on the e-commerce site. And the city of New Haven was fantastic. Shout out to Gerald Garcia and Kathy Graves. They did promotional videos for some of the entrepreneurs in their entrepreneurial cohort. And they featured all of us on Marketplace New Haven with our promo videos. And that was awesome for the time. We rolled that out right around Christmas. And so from a sales perspective, we've actually done okay. We've done well, comparable to last year. Which is awesome considering, a lot of people had to close their doors.
Yeah.
I just think that the mindset has to be that of being nimble and, not everything's going to work out, but you got to keep the ideas coming and you'll get a breakthrough. So that's sort of where we're at. It is my prayer that in 2021, we can resume plans from the end of 2019 and secure a public space that we can begin hosting classes and whatnot in. So that's where we are.
Now, you grew up in New Haven, did you?
I did.
So have you ever, growing up here, did you ever see stores or businesses like yours?
So I haven't, although there are quite a few soap makers throughout the state that, are award winning and whatnot. And nothing like this in New Haven. Which is part of what is the appeal to me. I think it can really be an experience for the community in addition to providing some personal care options that are great for your skin.
So has your passion been more skincare, DIY kind of thing, or more like being an entrepreneur and finding your place in that world?
No, I'm definitely interested in building a cosmetics company. We started with soap because it was just sort of a good entry medium. But the reality is, when we began formulating, we spent 18 months trying to figure out sort of what rose to the top, what competed with, the big box competitors. Because if you want people to buy into the vision, you have to offer them a solution that is comparable, if not better, to what they're used to. And so, yeah, I definitely see this as being a social enterprise with at a minimum, a regional market
Right.
for the Northeast, but with the intention of always having a flagship in New Haven, doing things to give back to the community while also, big picture. Uh, I would love to create a social enterprise that uses the skincare line revenue to support programming that helps folks with employment training and educational opportunities to excel up the career ladder. So um, that's a lot in terms of where we are today, but it definitely is the vision moving forward. Although we very much are in the heart, or we have the community in our hearts. We know as a business, it has to be a broader net.
Right. So when you see yourself in New Haven, right, saying like having your flagship store here, where would that be in New Haven?
So I have this idea of like having little stores in neighborhoods.
Okay.
Not so much the Broadways of New Haven or the major retail strips that we know, but really like this mom and pop approach of having smaller shops that are neighborhood based that also provide training from those locations.
Right. Right. Because a lot of the people in our communities don't have the ability to, have a car and travel. So maybe your idea would make it easier for people to come to you, right? And be in their neighborhood so they're walking distance or can ride the public transportation to get to you and things like that.
Exactly. And I think that it allows each neighborhood to empower their dollar. You know, when you buy a bar of commercial soap, you don't know where your money's going. But when you buy a bar, a Lujo bar on Grand Ave or wherever the location is, you can see that money going back into the community and working for itself.
Right. And where do you name? I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, and I love the name of your company, Lujo Bar. Can you talk to us about how that came about?
Sure. So very early on, like many small businesses, my pilot group of testers were a group of about 20 friends and family. And they sort of helped with the improvements and the feedback around the initial product line. And so when it came time to name the business, I sort of looked to them for some guidance. And we all landed on this idea of Lujo Bar, Lujo meaning luxury in Spanish, because it is a luxury soap bar, just based on the ingredients alone, but also that it could provide the luxury of many things that we take for granted to other people. So it kind of has a dual purpose, or there's dual meaning behind it. But yeah, that's sort of how it came about.
That's beautiful. I like the backstory, and I like the name also. I mean, it's all in the title, right? Now, what information or advice would you offer to a Latinx recent high school grad who knows their thing is being an entrepreneur, owning their own stuff, and doesn't want to go to college, or a person who is in college and is kind of feeling like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with my degree, and they just want to get out here and kind of like start changing the look of our neighborhood, or changing what's accessible to the Latinx community?
I would tell them what my father reminds me of regularly is that don't let perfection be the enemy of good. And I think it is easy to think that you don't have the tools that you need, or that you couldn't possibly do it because you don't have the skill set, whatever it is. I would encourage you that if you feel it in your heart to just do it, and it's okay to fail along the way as long as you keep going. Too many times we think that things have to be perfectly packaged to be ready for people to see, but you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing them a disservice, because if it's in your heart, then it's meant to be shared. And so go for it. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
Right. That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for being with us here today in Cafecito con Junta. We look forward to trying out your product.
Thank you so much for having me on Cafecito con Junta today. I just wanted to show my appreciation for you guys listening and let you know that if you use Junta in all capitals, Junta, upon checkout on lujobar.com, you'll get 10% off. And that's, there's no minimum, 10% off your entire order. And if you want to see what we're doing in the future, you can follow us on Instagram at Lujo Bar or Facebook at Lujo Bar CT.
That's great. I look forward to seeing what happens this year for your company. And I love to fast forward to a time where I'll be in a store smelling one of your soaps without a mask.